All right, let's talk about Rome Odunze and what he means to the Chicago Bears. Now, I already made a video kind of talking about the whole Bears new look offense in general, in which I touched on Odunze, but when I did that, I kind of got to thinking maybe I could make a whole video about just him as a player, because I think there's maybe some false perceptions of what he actually is as a player. A lot of people know this stuff, the contested catch down to field stuff of a one-on-one matchup like what you see right here. And it's just, hey, these are what you want out of this is why you draft a guy 9th overall. It's what you want out of a number 1 receiver, is a guy who can win on the outside. Watch how when this play begins, it's not like he's getting a ton of separation or anything. It's not like, Michael Penix on this one says, oh my God, he's wide open, I have to throw it to him. Michael Penix is instead saying, oh my God, there's only one guy on him, I have to throw it to him. That's kind of the logic here, and you're going to see why. Odunze is going to find a way to, adjust to the ball nicely and make the grab, and this wasn't even like a highlight play. This is just one of the many plays you see throughout the course of watching Odunze tape. This is what he brings to the table. So a lot of people notice about Odunze. These are the main things people talk about with Odunze, and for good reason. He's really good at this stuff. However, for the Chicago Bears, they have other players who can win on the outside. You added Keenan Allen and you added DJ Moore a year ago, so you don't necessarily need him to do this every single time. It's great that he can, but I think some people might wonder, well, do you have 3 outside receivers? And while I would say that DJ Moore and Keenan Allen both can, play in the slot when they have to and be effective at that, Odunze can as well, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. For example, something like this, where what's going to happen is it's going to be just a wide receiver screen. They're going to get the ball in Odunze's hands, which is something I could easily see them doing at the NFL level of, hey, we have a talented receiver, let's just get him to football. When this play begins, you're going to see it's kind of a cleverly ran wide receiver screen. They're really selling for the fake. But the disadvantage of that is that an Oregon player has an opportunity now to come in and make a tackle on Odunze. An offensive lineman trying to get over, but also Odunze has to get over quickly. But that's going to be exactly what Odunze does. So, you get the ball in his hands, he can do some nice things. Maybe could have fallen forward a little better there to get to the first down marker. But other than that, a really good job of being able to accelerate quickly and all of that stuff, which he's very good at. But going over here, this is kind of the main thing I could foresee happening with Odunze. So he is the one who, in that white box that I've showed, that's where he is. This is a zone coverage play. And I think that one of the main things that, why they wanted to get 3 really talented receivers is because you can get guys to run setup routes. You can get guys to help get other guys open. Something like this, you see where, the other receiver closest to Odunze is running, kind of running a deeper route. And because of this, when this play begins, you're going to notice right here, there is a window. And the window is in part there because, hey, Odunze's really good, can't get burned deep, so that helps. But also, there's extra attention getting taken away by another player. And this will really happen frequently for the Chicago Bears, I would assume. I mean, you have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen who, at their best, have been fringe top 10 wide receivers, and at times have played like just straight up top 10 receivers, I would say. And even at their worst are still like clear number 1 receivers. You also have Cole Kmet, who's one of the better receiving tight ends in football, and even Gerald Everett, who's a really good number 2 receiving tight end. So there's so many different weapons, so much attention. You could easily see Odunze getting opportunities like this, and he's a good enough route runner where, like I said, he's doing a part of this play. The fact that the corner covering him is so far deep is in part because they didn't realize Odunze wasn't running a go route until right now. Arizona State tries to get a switch, but it was too late. Odunze makes the grab and does nice work in open space to pick up a first down. These are the kind of things I expect to see in Chicago. Like a play like this is another one where it's going to be zone coverage and you see Odunze's route, as this is going to be a hard play action. So Odunze is kind of lined up as though he's going to be blocking, but he is not going to be blocking. He's going to be running a deep route. You also have a tight end running a deep route that's going to be more over the middle to hopefully draw the safety away. When this play begins, you see that they, run to play action. Penix then throws to Odunze, and he's a little bit open. If you squint, you can kind of see a window here. Okay, no, I'm joking. He's wide open. There isn't really a player anywhere close to him. Penix makes the throw, and I think every time you look at something like this, I think people are kind of more likely to say, well, that's kind of just good offensive coaching, right? And yeah, for sure. I think that's the main thing you have to give credit to is the offensive play caller on something like this. But at the same time, there is still a lot of real hard work and real, athleticism that has to come into play here. You have to make good plays to make a play like this work, and not just the setup routes, which are very important, and the guys running to play action, but Odunze himself getting to the spot quickly is very important. And if you can get DJ Moore or Keenan Allen to take some attention away, you better believe Odunze will be able to take advantage of that. Going over here, if we're talking negatives, this is one I could potentially see. I think this is a fair thing to bring up, which is it's going to once again be a one-on-one matchup on the outside. Kind of going back to what we talked about earlier of, hey, he's great at winning these one-on-ones. That's his selling point. The only real reason I complained about it was just because, that's what sometimes people act like that's all he can do, and that's not all he can do, but it still is his selling point. It's the thing he's best at. When this one begins, it's not just a go route, but it's a route where he's going over towards the outside. There is a window for this throw to be made. Here is my question with Odunze. On this one, it's going to look like a completion, but it actually gets knocked out at the last second by the Washington State defender. Okay, good defensive play, whatever it is what it is. Can't win every contested catch. But I do just wonder how much of the contested catch stuff will work at the NFL level. I'm not saying it won't work or that I'm concerned about it or anything like that. It's really just what I said. How much of it will work at the NFL level? Will it be just as much as what worked at the college level? Maybe. We've seen that before. Drake London was a great contested catch guy at college. Now he's a great contested catch guy at the NFL level. Same thing with a guy like Jamar Chase or even Mike Evans. But then there's also Corey Davis, who went early and was a great contested catch guy and then ended up not really having that be a part of his game and wasn't as good of an NFL player because of it. If I had to guess, I would think it would work out fine. I wouldn't be concerned about it. But again, if we're talking about how will the transition to the NFL be for Odunze, that is, I think, a question that is fair to ask, even though I'm not worried about it or anything. So at the end of the day, again, I do think a lot of times we view this a little bit wrong with wide receivers, and we almost act like wide receivers is an individual position, which, in fairness, we do that with every position, right? We don't pay enough attention to the fact that it is such a team sport, and there is so many things that go into being an effective player. It's not just coaching, but it's the players around you and all of that stuff. But I do think that with wide receivers, it is such a team position, and for Odunze, again, I get why there's kind of the narrative out there that he's essentially just a go route contested catch guy, which I don't think is a big narrative, but I get why that's the main thing that gets talked about. He is legitimately awesome at that stuff, but I personally, when watching film, I see more than that. And again, Washington didn't constantly ask him to do other stuff because he was so good at the downfield attack. And I could easily see Chicago saying, no, we're just going to have you do the downfield stuff because of how good you are at it. And we trust DJ Moore to run more of the over the middle routes or Keenan Allen to run more of the over the middle routes. But I do think Odunze will run some of those over the middle routes as well in certain scenarios. And I do think that he could be, successful at it. So, I think he's a really good player. And again, for Chicago Bears, they're trying to make sure they can put Caleb Williams in as good of a position to succeed. But also, receivers are really important. And if you ask me, quarterback is obviously number one most important position. I think wide receiver is number two. And I think there's a lot of evidence to back up that getting an elite wide receiver is the next best thing you can do besides get an elite quarterback. So it's possible they got both in the same draft, which would be pretty good. But yeah, that's my thought on those are my thoughts on Odunze and what he brings to the Bears. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.